Well, the first phase of those truce talks have completely failed. Bringing United States and Iran to the talking table in Islamabad was the first hurdle, and it certainly is not going to be the last. We've got breaking developments for you. Just hours after U.S. Vice President JD Vance announced that the collapse of the talks with Iran in Islamabad, the Iranian state media has offered its version of the events. The Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting reports that nearly 21 hours of negotiations ended without any agreement, blaming what it describes as excessive demands from the United States. According to Tehran's narrative, Washington pushed for concessions it failed to secure through military means, prompting a firm rejection from Iran. And the talks have now formally ended with no immediate path forward. The key disputes remained unresolved, including tensions over the Strait of Hormuz and Iran's nuclear rights. The failure of these negotiations clearly underscore the widening gap between both sides in terms of understanding, in terms of negotiations, raising fresh concerns over the stability in the region and the world order at large, and the prospects of any near-term diplomatic breakthrough, if at all they exist or not. Ambassador Suresh K. Goyal, former Indian diplomat, with us on the broadcast. Major General Dr. Rajan Kochhar, defense and geopolitical expert, with us on the broadcast as well. A very warm welcome to you, gentlemen. A very good morning to you. I'm going to quickly come to you and understand what is your assessment and reading of these collapsed and failed talks, and if there is any victor on this particular front. But before that, gentlemen, listen to what JD Vance had to say, because the United States' rhetoric seems to be that, hey, look, we put something on a piece of paper, the Iranian side wasn't ready to sign on it, and that's bad news for everybody else in the world. We already know it's bad news. Well, the misadventures of United States and Israel, the entire world is paying for it. But JD Vance, seemed to be the shadow broker, one of those credible, fellows in the entire equation. Listen to what JD Vance had to say, the U.S. Vice President, the leader of the U.S. delegation, and then we'll get the snowball rolling, gentlemen.
Marshal Munir, who were both incredible hosts, and whatever shortcomings in the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis, who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement. And I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could. And they have chosen not to accept our terms. Questions?
Sir,
Well, Ambassador Goyal, what's your assessment? What's your reading? Both sides have now gone back home empty-handed. Both sides making it look like they got their deed done, and it's the other side. The ball is in the other teams and delegations' court. What's your assessment, sir? And your reading of what JD Vance said and Donald Trump's tweets yesterday on, even as these negotiations were underway, the U.S. President's truths on Truth Social seem to be weighing down on those negotiations. The word big and his use of the word big, be it a big, beautiful bill, be it a big talk, be it a big punishment, it all weighs down, whether positively or negatively. Well, the world can decide for themselves. But this anarchy that's now been started over the last 42, 43 days, it's not going anywhere soon. Your reading, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. First of all, I really don't think that Donald Trump is a prime example of a good negotiator or a great leader, whether it is the USA or the world or whatever it is. He got elected. That's a matter of fact. Fine, that's okay. We will live with it. But I don't really think that his tweets or his comments really matter so much in terms of what the negotiations are all about. Number one. Number two, JD Vance, he seems like a very balanced and very mature person as a state leader. And his remarks and the remarks otherwise from the other sources seem to suggest that this first phase of the talks have not succeeded the way one would have thought or one would have wanted it. But having taken part in several negotiations, difficult negotiations, no negotiations succeed on the first day or the second day. The positions have been given. We have been saying right from the beginning, they are unmatchable. They are diametrically opposite. It would take time. I do think that while the talks in Islamabad may not have been able to bridge the gap, but there will be further rounds, maybe Islamabad, maybe somewhere else. And I've always maintained that unless Israel is there on the table, no amount of negotiations are going to really set a work because Israel is a major player. So let us see what happens in future. I'm optimistic. I cannot say with certainty that yes, there will be more round of talks, but my expectation is that this was just the beginning. And we
Well,
will see more discussions, more negotiations, simply on the basis that neither USA nor Iran are interested in prolonging the war. Israel is the only country saying it is not over yet. Israel has different objectives, and
yeah.
that's it. We have to wait.
All right, all right. So your assessment is that it's still early doors. Of course, I don't disagree with you here, Ambassador. It is a historic moment, a very significant meeting between these two sides. The first ever face-to-face, delegation level talk since the 1979 Islamic Revolution, and that says, volumes about it. In any case, General Kushner, what's your assessment? Take a look at this. An Iranian handle on social media says the U.S. flew their vice president halfway across the world to Islamabad. 21 hours of talks. They demanded everything they couldn't achieve through war. Iran said a big no. Use the word big again here, I think pun intended from the Iranian side. And the talks are now over. The strait is still closed and the vice president is flying home empty-handed yet again. Just Iran's word, they don't have any option left to save face.
Good morning, Kabir. I think some good points have been made by the ambassador. What my assessment is that yesterday we were on your show talking about Lebanon is going to be a big issue. Nobody was talking about nuclear. So today I think this entire context has changed because this nuclear and no nukes issue has come up. If I take you back to 27th of February, you would recall that Iran had made a commitment that it would not go nuclear as far as the nuclear weapon was concerned. So I think principally Iran is of the same opinion, though of course today it has emerged that they have not agreed to the American demands, but there are three reasons for that. One reason is that there was too much of negativity going around and a lack of trust because the kind of statements what Donald Trump was making when the talks were going on, if you remember, Iran has made a statement earlier that don't talk under coercion. So that was one negative element which was floating around as far as these talks were concerned, because if you are going to coerce somebody in signing an agreement, then of course no country will like to do that. So that was one of the things which we were observing. The second important aspect was, as I concur with the ambassador, that the elephant was not in the table, and that elephant, white elephant, whatever you may call it, that was Israel. Because this war is essentially between Israel and Iran and not between the US and Iran. The US has stepped in because of Israel. So the prime adversaries, I would like to put that in, is Israel. And a kind of statements, and on the first day of the talk itself, there was a big offensive in South Lebanon, and a number of civilian casualties were there. So what do we make of it? Because Iran had set two preconditions. One was unfreezing of around $6 billion of their bank accounts. And the second was a ceasefire in Lebanon. So that thing was not happening. So the ground for this talks for moving ahead wouldn't have taken place. And in my concluding remark, I would like to make that I don't see that this is the end of the talks. I agree with the ambassador. This is a setback. The technical teams are still there. You see, those technical teams are still talking to each other, trying to exchange notes, and those documents are going to get exchanged. They will go back. Deliberations will take place, and I'm sure there will be a next round of talks.